Hello guys, my name is Eso Shadow. You can call me Shadow, and this is going to be my first video among a few. I am going to be talking about the Elder Scrolls Online, hot debated topics, any news that comes out, and up to, hopefully, the Elder Scrolls Online, and after it, because I am more psyched for this MMO than I have been in a while, and I'm looking for a fresh start. So, in this video, I'm going to be talking about one important topic that I have not heard anything about, but I would like to see and kind of give my example of what the community actually wants out of it, and that would be player housing. Now, player housing is definitely a hot debated topic. You either love it or you hate it. It's as simple as that. The people that love player housing, they want a form of player housing. They have, if you've ever played other MMOs, there are ones out there that have done it right, but it just doesn't exactly fit the bill for the game or even for the player. Let me give you some examples, like Star Wars: The Old Republic. Great game. That's a lie. It was pretty shitty. It was good in the beginning, but they had a form of player housing. It was your ship. A lot of people wouldn't consider player housing, but in a way it was. You can buy customizations for target training dummies, but you can't really go out and customize it much. That's not what the Elder Scrolls Online needs, and I'm hoping that the Elder Scrolls Online does include player housing in a form that allows a ridiculous amount of customization. Let's take a look at EverQuest. I feel like EverQuest, if you ever played Runes of Magic, Lord of the Rings Online, I feel like that's similar. It should be instanced, okay? This is my personal opinion, but I don't believe they should be pulling a Star Wars Galaxies here and allow cities being made. It was a good idea for that game, but it's not the Elder Scrolls Online. It just doesn't feel right. If you've ever played any of the Elder Scrolls games, Skyrim, it just wouldn't feel right for player-made cities. You have those like iconic cities like Riften or Whiterun or any of the other ones that stick out in your mind, and that should be the main place of cities where everybody goes and commutes to. It wouldn't feel right the other way around. Now, let's go back to what I was talking about. The Runes of Magic, which is a free-to-play MMO that I have tried out once before, and EverQuest, even Lord of the Rings, I feel like they've done that right. Instance player housing. You should be able to go up, talk to this guy, depending on, the only limitation really should be your money and how much it is. You should be able to buy the house. Now, in my personal perspective, I believe it should be based upon a monthly expense. There are games, I believe it is Ion that actually does it, where you have to pay on a weekly basis. Okay idea, but in my personal perspective, it should be monthly, okay? You should be able to go and not have to worry about logging on and paying every single week, or you're going to lose your house. I just don't think that's a great idea. Monthly, it seems like the bill's huge, but by the end of the month, you probably have more than enough to be able to pay for that. Now, like I said, you should be able to go up, talk to somebody, and boom, buy your house. You go click on this store, and it brings you to an instance house. Now, one of the things this is one of my personal ideas, is they should allow a form of community, something like Lord of the Rings Online had. Now, you would have your instance house, but let's say, for instance, it's just, you have your house. If you want to go and get 15 other signatures from your friends on this bill and pay, I guess, a small monetary amount of virtual currency, you can all be in the same neighborhood. So you would go and you would click on some portal or something along the other lines, and you would go into this virtual community. And it would be like a little neighborhood. It wouldn't be huge, but it would be all of your houses lined up or near each other. And I think that would be absolutely perfect. I mean, you have all of your friends in a neighborhood. And Lord of the Rings did something relative to this, but you didn't actually know anybody in your neighborhood. So it should be optional. It shouldn't be forced upon you. And that way, if you do have other people that you play with that are fans of player housing, you come out, boom, you have new decorations out front. You invite all your friends over maybe like once a week, and this is another thing that player housing never seems to do right. Why can't there be interaction within the homes? Why can't there be, hey, let's add some type of board game. Let's try to add some type of game inside. You know what I'm talking about? Inside the house to make it interactive, where more than 2 people can play it. Something that just jokes around and you can have fun. Star Wars: The Old Republic had so much room for this, and they could still do it if they added a form of player housing and they added Pazaak to it. Pazaak, yes, if you've ever played Knights of the Old Republic. It was a fun game, and I guarantee you the amount of people that in the community that wanted that is huge and still wants it if you still play the game. Pizzac was a ton of fun, and if you added it in only for player housing, friends would come over and play it at your house just to play. There needs to be interaction. You need to be able to sit down in your house in chairs. There needs to be certain games. I don't like referencing it. I can't think of the word today. RuneScape. RuneScape was the first, I guess, MMO you can call it, that I played, and I felt like player housing was done right in a fashion. They allowed interaction into the game. It wasn't really customizable, but they allowed you to drop things in certain places. Now, one of the things that they did do right was add so much content to it that it allowed for a ton of time to be invested. And they added dungeons where to the point where you could have people come over and they could view your custom-made dungeon in the basement. And that's just perfect because it allows for something to be done in the player housing. It allows for time to be spent there and memories to be made, if you know where I'm coming from. I just really hope the Elder Scrolls Online does it the right way. They add interactive player housing, instance player housing where you want your friends to come over and see the time and effort that you put into it, the amount of virtual currency you put into it. The amount of items you should be able to put in your house should not be limited to a set number. It should be limited to a set number and allow upgrades with virtual currency. I hate seeing MMO. It's like, oh, you can only drop 30 items, and then you're trying and rushing through and taking things out. One last thing that I think should be added to player housing that I don't get, I've yet to see an MMO that does something similar to it, is if allowed drops. Now, I think, if I'm not right here, Rift just implemented something along the lines, but you should be able to kill a raid boss or dungeon boss or something along those lines and allow a rare drop or a certain amount of percentage drop of their head or some kind of relic off of them. And you should be able to put that in your house. That would be perfect. Raiding with your whole entire raid group. Maybe there's only a few of you that like actually player housing in it, but you raid with your raid group. Something drops, like you kill the boss, you can hang his head up. Say it's a dragon, you can go hang a dragon head up in your living room. That is perfect. It shows accomplishment. It gives a reason, like, hey, you want to come over today after work, after we're done our normal day shit and check out my house. We just downed Algalon, and I'm showing his starry space junk or something in my house. It's to the point that there needs to be a reason to go to the player housing. It needs to be fun, interactive, and they should offer incentive bonuses. Log out in your player house, rested XP, something along those lines. Allow a portal to your house, so that way when you're done adventuring, you can go to your house. And then maybe you can add a portal back to the place that you left to go to your house to, if you know what I mean, like a return portal sort of. There needs to be incentive for player housing. Now, there are people that do hate it and don't want it to seen in the game, and they believe, oh, you know what, it should be devoted to other times and other aspects of the game like PvP or raiding, but player housing is, in my belief, needed just as much as leveling, raiding, or PvP. That's my personal belief. So thanks for listening, guys. If you'd like to see more Elder Scrolls Online videos, don't forget to subscribe and like this video. Take care.